the deck. So hidden, there is a new union here that is being hidden. There is something coming in for this Empress. It is a deep soul love. For some of you, you're not focused on that at all because, interestingly enough, the card flipped itself when I was shuffling. Pulled the Ten of Swords in reverse. Some of you are still very much stuck in what was done to you in the betrayal, or you're currently going through it. Some of you are having to dip back into the Queen of Wands and then rise back to the Empress. Dip back into the Queen of Wands, back to the Empress, which means you're still facing some kind of battle here that's keeping you stuck. And for some of you, you have you've decided to focus more on overcoming your healing before you even consider a union. Trust your gut, you know, follow it. Don't let anybody push you into anything if you're not ready, but also stay open-hearted and open-minded about possibilities. You never know where you're going to find or receive love, and that's not just romantic. That's friendships, that's acquaintance. I almost said acquaintanceships. Acquaintances. That's you know, work opportunities. That's rekindling family connections. Different aspects of yourself, different aspects of spirit even. So you do what feels right to you. Yeah, Two of Wands. There's a portal opening here for some of you to make a decision on whether you want to go forward with a certain union or not. So back to those of you who are interested in a divine union, or coming into balance and harmony with yourself to be ready for such a thing. You're making a decision here. In fact, some of you have already set intentions and you know which road you want to follow. Others of you, there is a fork in the road here. So Spirit, what is this fork about? The Hierophant. Get one more. I saw Ace of Swords in the middle as I was shuffling. Ten of Cups in reverse. For some of you, you don't know if you are interested in ever having a deep long-term commitment with anybody. Maybe it doesn't feel true to you. Maybe some of you, whoever this energy that you left in the past, whether it's represented by the Prince of Wands or not, it's possible you were in a long-term relationship or on again, off again with this, and it really didn't make you happy. Maybe it's time to think about your truth. What does make you happy? What would make you want to commit to such a union? And to do that, you have to go inward. You have to take the time to heal, to focus on what is truly important to you. And if you are just coming out of a situation or a relationship or a friendship or a family dynamic or even a spiritual path and a certain community around that, you have to think about where you want to go for your personal happiness. Because again, you know, whatever this was, it didn't bring you personal happiness with the Nine of Cups in reverse. And I get the sense that some of you kind of knew that it wasn't going to from the beginning. That's just for some. Now I'm also picking up on this Prince of Wands in reverse. I feel like even that energy is subtly here, but the energy isn't as strong. But I feel like there's a message for you as well. If you are the one, and again, no judgment, but if you were the one who represents this Prince of Wands in reverse, I feel like some of you are fighting the lessons that the divine are trying to show you, and are thinking that you can run away from your karma with justice in reverse. But some of you are realizing that this Queen of Wands person you were in a relationship with actually was the Empress the whole time. Maybe they didn't even see it, and that's why you couldn't see it, because oftentimes when we don't know our own value, neither do other people. That's something you have to learn for some of us, right? So it's possible that you underestimated this person you were with. Perhaps you weren't the most supportive or genuine, devoted person. Perhaps you knew that they were not your wish fulfillment, but you decided to go for it for whatever reason. I don't know why. But it's caused you some karma, and you are working through it, and you are also acknowledging. You're probably, some of you, I just got a side message that some of you have actually had somebody recently betray you, and it kind of helped you understand maybe how you betrayed this person. I feel like for that energy, this happened a little while ago, not the betrayal, but the relationship. It isn't as fresh for you, but that something recently you experienced some kind of betrayal, and it's made you receive some of your karma. So I'm going to move away from that. I certainly hope that you have learned the value of accountability, and also for being true to yourself and others. If you can make a commitment to others, just, take accountability, and also know that you're not, and this is, some people are going to hate me for this, but you're not necessarily all bad either. There's obviously pieces of you that you had in common with this person. I mean, you're both fire energies for one. You're both in the same, like, active, fiery, passionate, creative energy, but I feel like whatever this was kind of knocked you down a peg, and I mean that with love and respect, but it gave you a little bit of an ego blow. So I feel like you're kind of going through it right now, whoever you are, and we all have to remember whatever lessons we're learning, that if we don't want to repeat those lessons again, we have to take the time to look at them and see how we can integrate them into our lives and do better. Just make a choice to do better. The Lover's card also represents a choice. Some of you don't want to make this choice because you like your lifestyle for whatever reason, and that's not for me to judge, but the divine, because the divine are always watching, like, we are never alone, and I know that creeps some people out, but I am a psychic medium, so I talk about these things, and you got to know that, like, whether you think anybody's paying attention or not, the divine are. And for these Empress people over here, know that if you feel like justice hasn't been served with the Justice in reverse, we're going to go back to talking about that group. Not necessarily talking about the Prince of Wands anymore, but we're not necessarily not. The Empress, some of you have got some major attitude. I'm starting to channel a little sass, and that's all right. Attitude is understood in all areas of this energy. But the Empress here, some of you may feel like justice hasn't been served, and that's why you have to keep going back into this Queen of Wands energy, like you have to fight. And maybe you feel like you need to fight for other people because nobody fought for you. That's for some. So Spirit, what kind of advice can we give this part of the collective? Let's start with the Empress, who doesn't feel like justice has been served in whatever situation this is. That's way too many cards. Thank you very much. But I did open, it landed on the 8 of Cups. For some of you, and I'm getting chills, walking away was your justice. What do I mean? Your karmic lesson was to see if you could walk away and choose yourself, which graduated you to the Empress. Wow, full body chills. That is definitely true for somebody. You have, by having the courage to not put up with things that don't make you happy, that you were fighting, but it kept making you feel blocked on your path, made you not believe in the possibility of having a long-term commitment, just like feeling like you had to choose another direction. this was your justice. Having the strength. So if you haven't celebrated yourself, and that may sound lame, but again, anybody who's collected karmic debt are going to have to eventually pay for that debt, right? So you're not, I think the whole thing here is to continue investing in yourself, continue focusing on what makes you feel fertile, what you can grow, you know, be grateful where you have comforts in life maybe you didn't have when you were with this person or in this situation. Or again, this could represent a spiritual community that one branched off of, because wands often represent spirit. Wow, Ace of Cups, yeah. Pour into yourself with self-love, and also know that when you are ready, Spirit does have a love offer coming to you. What does that mean? It means that there is something on top of this karma walking away. You'll be walking towards some kind of divine love when you are ready. And you'll know when you're ready. There will probably also be signs and synchronicities by the divine to let you know. So that's good. All right, so I'd also like to ask, for those that are still flipping between the Queen of Wands and the Empress, ooh, Ace of Wands in reverse just came out quickly. I guess Spirit already knew what I was going to ask. Of course they did. Okay, so for those of you that are dipping back and forth between feeling like you are having to continue to fight and defend yourself or others, and then being comfortable, being satisfied, and knowing your worth fully, executing your power, which, by the way, call your power back to you. Call it back. Call all your power, all your energy, all your light back to you right now. Okay? If you work with archangels like I do, talk to Archangel Michael. Ask him to surround you with his fiery ring of protection, and to use his sword to cut any cords, break any chains that are trying to cling to you, that are not for your highest and greatest good. And then try to visualize that if you can. Not everybody can. If you do meditation, it'll help you with this, which helps you manifest. It also helps just with general well-being. So yeah, but we got here the Ace of Wands in reverse, and then the Four of Wands in reverse just came out too. For some of you, Spirit's telling you to stop focusing on trying to kindle some kind of hot new beginning that you think will lead to a union. That's really, it sounds really harsh, and I'm sorry. If it doesn't apply, it doesn't apply. And I say I'm sorry, not that I'm sorry, but I feel empathy if you were suddenly just got a gut punch, because I felt for some of you, you did. That doesn't mean that you're not going to have a new beginning. This is just a slightly different group from the Empress we were talking about before, okay? I think for this group where you're still battling, I think if you try to bring somebody in right now, you may not be ready for them. And that could be what this Hierophant and Ten of Cups in reverse over here is also about. Because there's still more healing, perhaps even for you. This Ace of Cups is, again, self-love that you need to learn. Maybe there's some other part, some other lesson you need to learn about. Let's ask Spirit. Spirit, is there another lesson that this part of the collective can have some kind of idea as to prepare themselves for eventually what they think they want as far as their hot new beginning? What can we do now in this healing, in this acceptance, to focus on ourselves, right? I'm speaking generally collective here. Seven of Pentacles in reverse. Stop focusing on failed investments for some of you. That could be people, it could be material, it could be projects that you thought was going to benefit you in some way. So then what can they do instead, Spirit? Instead of focusing on these investments or people that were time wasters, or perhaps for some of you I'm getting that whoever you think is your Four of Wands is your hot new beginning is actually wasting your time. They're not a good investment. Yeah, Eight of Wands in reverse. Some of you actually need to cut off communication and do it quickly. I don't know who that's for. It doesn't feel like the general collective here. But for some of you, you're actually, you're about to start not even a new karmic cycle, but you could give yourself a Tower moment. I'm sensing the Tower really strong here. Oh no, but we pulled the Wheel of Fortune. Right. So this is a new karmic cycle. I think for some of you, I just picked up that you might be thinking about secretly going back to this Prince of Wands character. That is not for everyone. And it's possible that's why this is not going to work. If you think you've invested so much time in this, you've communicated a lot, but you feel like you're at a standstill, like you just so badly wanted this union, you wanted to create a life with this person. They used to bring you a lot of passion, but now it's like some of you are realizing you're not even actually attracted to that type of person anymore. Some of you haven't figured it out yet, and this could be the end of the cycle that creates a new cycle. Some of you have to get your Tower moment. Some of you have to learn the hard way, and you're going to keep going back to this person until you figure it out. Because the divine, they're telling you, no, do not pass go. This is not a way forward. You cannot build a stable foundation with this person, or with this spiritual group, or with this friend or sibling, or heck, it could be somebody you travel with that was like your adventure buddy. For somebody I'm picking up, like somebody who used to be a great travel companion, but they came with a lot of issues. Why am I thinking of, oh God, what is that guy's name? Zach something. Oh man. Anyways, the guy from the Hangover movies, you know, the one with the dog, the one that's kind of odd. Totally my type of people, by the way. I cannot think of his name right now, but that's coming up. Like, just like an annoying, obnoxious kind of little brother type, yet has a lot to offer, but it's like it's so far and few between that it's not really worth the risk to take the journey. I mean, we all know how the Hangover movies end, right? Like, we know how they start. Like, enough said. Anyways, that's a karmic lesson for somebody. For some of you, it's not the way forward, but some of you got to learn the hard way, and Spirit's telling you that until you let go, you're not going to be able to find this in your life. And for some of you, you have something waiting for you. Let's not forget the Lovers. Also, let you know that if you are this Empress, right, or you're the Queen of Wands who keeps ascending to the Empress and then going back to the Queen of Wands, know that if you keep pursuing this karmic cycle, not only will you possibly risk losing your Empress status, and I don't say this to be like all cliquey and stuff. I say this because it's about spiritual evolution and soul growth. If we want our abundance, if we want our greatest blessings, and we want to stay on our path that creates that, and we're not talking about material, we're talking about spiritual wealth here. We're talking about unconditional love here, okay? With the self, with spirit, with others, all of our greatest blessings. You have to overcome your karmic cycles. So not only do you risk staying out of your Empress, or if you are an Empress and you think you're being smart and calculating like the Queen of Swords I'm picking up, in keeping this person in the background as an option, which by the way is disrespectful also, not just to yourself but to others. Spirit's wanting to say. Jesus, Spirit. Sorry, Jesus. Anyways, you risk knocking yourself into the Prince of Wands, Knight of Wands, because then you have decided that options are the energy that you resonate with. So remember, we are what we associate with. If you've had a taste of freedom, of divine love within yourself through spirit, and you get a hint of it being out there for you, wouldn't you rather take a leap of faith towards that than trying to hide away and conform to something that you already know hasn't made you happy? I know what I'd choose, but that's me. I've learned my lessons the hard way, and I'm sure I'll still continue to learn hard lessons throughout my life, but I have cleared a lot of my karma, and I have done a lot of intensive inner work throughout my life. It's part of my soul's journey in this lifetime. So, Spirit's telling you that you need to stop whatever this is, that even, again, just like this Prince of Wands, or Knight of Wands, whatever you want to call it, for those that thought that no one's watching, same applies to you, Empress. Same applies to you, Queen of Wands. Same applies to all of us. And it's not about being shamed into good behavior. No, that's actually a Christian modality that has nothing to do with universal law. And I don't mean any disrespect to Christians, but there's stigma and there's hatred and there's dogma and other things that are out of balance in every single creed, okay? Because it's created by man. And if you are a Christian, you know that men are imperfect, correct? Man, humans. Five of Cups. Yeah, this will only lead to regret. Wow. And we have the Two of Cups. So, I don't know about y'all, but I would rather go for Two of Cups in this situation. If you knew what was coming for you around the corner, if you knew, you would not stay where you're at. Because this is ultimate divine love. This is the highest love that you have a chance at. If you can get out of your despondency, if you can get out of your despair with the Five of Cups here, if you can focus on your blessings and how far you have come, this is around the corner for you. How much faith do you have in the process and yourself and the divine? Ask yourself that. Now ask yourself, how much faith do you have in this situation or person from the past? I just got chills the back of my head. So some of y'all just had a realization, and I'm grateful for that. Wow. Queen of Swords in reverse. Need another card on this. And the King of Swords. Whoo, wow. Okay. There's a few different messages coming through on that one. You know, I thought we'd talk more about spiritual things in this, and it's all relative. It's all spiritual and it's all materialistic. It's all the same, right? It's all integrated, as above, so below, correct? The law of correspondences. Universal law. What we have inside is represented in our outsides, right? So I'm getting that the first thing I had was someone didn't like what I had to say and they want to chew me out. And that's fine. I understand. I totally get it. Just know that anybody that projects any harm to me, I am protected divinely. And also I transmute energy because I've learned how to turn my greatest haters into my greatest fans by them expelling negative energy towards me and me turning it into positive abundance. And no, nobody can steal that from you if you learn how to do that. You know how to protect yourself, and you are on the spiritual path, and you are living integrally, and you are following divine law. Just keep focusing on yourself, okay? Having an open heart and open mind, but know that you are on the right path if you can trust it. And this is all about truth here. Swords are truth. We also have the Justice in reverse here. It's possible for some of you this has to do with the courts. With the strong air influence now, I'm picking up on a certain amount of you. Some of you, this is a divorce or separation you're going through with the same suit here, King and Queen Swords are both divine counterparts. That's the second message I had coming through. That doesn't mean it was the highest spiritual love, by the way. It just means that it was a divine counterpart, right? So Emperor and Empress is like the highest spiritual love you can find in any of the mutual kings and queens, or kings and kings and queens, however you want to put it, are also divine counterparts. But they are, it's like a deep soul bond, but not the deepest. Does that make sense? Right. Okay. And those are, remember that divine counterparts can also become karmic. Okay, so we see this with some of you who are going through a divorce or separation, which this particular sword, this particular couple is known to be the divorced couple. Okay. For some of you, you represent this King of Swords, and the Queen of Swords is the person you're leaving behind. I'm starting to pick up on another group here. So I feel like if you were part of this fiery energy, I hope that you found what you were looking for. If you have anything you'd like to contribute in the comments, you are always welcome, or you can just drop a heart emoji. It helps me with the algorithm, and it helps me grow this community, which I deeply adore. Okay, I'd love to keep showing up like this for everyone, and when my content circulates by a like, comment, or subscribe, well then, I get to create more. Okay? So I deeply appreciate it. If you don't want to hang around, here's your chance to cut out. Speaking of cutting out, that's what this King of Swords is doing. Cutting out a Queen of Swords in reverse. And a Queen of Swords in reverse is somebody who is verbally unkind and harsh with their words, malicious even, somebody who gaslights somebody. And again, gaslighting is when somebody makes you think your reality is not your reality, right?